Tonight, I'm here with Scott Milne, IFBB Pro. You can also check out his page. We're sharing the link on the feed. And I'm here with Paulie O'Byrne, also 1 in 5 is his page. We're sharing that link. Tonight, we're here to talk to you guys about anxiety and depression and the common symptoms, causes, and fears. We're following for you guys that aren't familiar with what we do on Sundays, we're following a 15-week course that's by Lucinda Bassett from the Midwest Center, and you can find that at stresscenter.com. And obviously, we can't sort of give you all the information. It is copyright. So we can go through it and kind of explain what we took away from it, and that's what we're planning to do with you guys. So both Scott and Paulie and myself have listened to the first week of the course, which is which I guess we'll just go through and get into.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have some notes here we can talk about, but let's start here with maybe what anxiety and depression are. So, I guess we can start by saying that, what did you guys think when she started the whole CD, Lucinda Bassett, and she started saying things like, the world is more vulnerable than ever before with war and global warming and AIDS and cancer. And then she said that there's so much to worry about with so little control. Like, how did that make you guys feel, just that statement alone?
Well, it's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know if you guys felt that, but like, if you think about it in our own personal lives, we have a ton to worry about. And then on the outside, we also have a ton to worry about like, as we're in a judgmental society, right? That
100%.
Like people are, we're worried about our image. We're worried about what other people think of us. And like, if you don't have anxiety, that probably gives you anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's just a powerful statement that we're in an anxiety-driven society right now.
100%.
It's scary, right?
Yeah.
It's a scary thing to think about.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a really honest statement, especially, again, the younger generations are feeling more and more of it. You know, because they're not given the tools to communicate like normally, because everything's just through a tablet or a phone, right?
Yeah.
So just not being able to have conversations with people and talk to them, I think creates more anxiety. And then their expectations and the low self-esteem, I think, is really like prevalent in younger generations, because they're trying to live up to perceived expectations and you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And we get into that a little bit deeper when we talk about sort of the self-image and how human connections are made. When we were younger, we didn't have all the sort of the social media tools that the younger generations have, where we can peer in on what the perfect life is supposed to look like, right? And everybody's trying to hit that status of perfection, but you're never going to hit it. Life isn't perfect. You're never going to be perfect. The sooner that you accept that and that you can't control that, I think the better off we're all going to be.
It's almost like a competition, though, like with Facebook. Like, everyone just posts, you know, their new thing or their vacation or this and that, but like, they don't post anything bad.
No, right? I know. I think
people see that and they're like, oh, well, I've got to post like, oh, what I've done.
Sure.
You know?
Well, I think that what we're trying to do here, and the main goal of this, is we know that there are people that aren't posting on Instagram and aren't posting on Facebook because out of fear, and because they might be in such an anxious state that they could be hiding out in their bedroom, but maybe there's just that chance that they're watching this right now, and maybe this will give them the inspiration they need to kind of take that next step and get out there and kind of get comfortable living in an imperfect world.
I think when it comes to like perfection, one thing I learned in recovery was like, don't strive for perfection, like just strive for progress. Like if you can be a little bit better today than you were yesterday, then you're ahead of the crowd, right?
Sure.
And I don't want to be perfect.
No. Perfect is boring, man.
Well, it's too much pressure.
It is too much pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, and I'm never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Ever.
And
I don't know if I want to be.
And is the perfect person really that fucking interesting?
Well, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, we know that. We know it doesn't exist, but let's say that the person that people picture being that perfect person.
Like the Kardashians.
Well, we know they're not perfect.
Yeah, they're not perfect.
Yeah, but that's maybe what makes them so interesting.
Yeah.
They might, have the look of what people want to look like. They might have that ideal look, but it's not completely natural, let's be honest, right? Yeah. And they probably still have some work to do in here.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
So anyway, nowadays, more people are turning to medication and drugs and alcohol for relief from anxiety and depression than ever before. And the problem with that is that some medications can be helpful, but they can also cause a shitload of side effects, right?
Yeah.
I know that when I was taking medication back when I was younger, like the sexual drive was just, sometimes you'd want to be. It was just it was unpredictable,
Yeah.
And for me that was a problem. You want to know what you're getting into when you're with your girlfriend, and if she can't rely on you, that's kind of a
That creates more.
it creates more fighting and friction.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, maybe it helped me kind of be a little more carefree, but I was getting bitched at a hell of a lot more, right?
Right.
Not that, obviously we're not encouraging that as something that you do. But what do you guys feel about medication? Have either of you ever been on any medication?
I've been on medication for like antipsychotics and anti-anxiety and antidepressants, and what I found with the antidepressants was they made me more depressed.
Really?
I know that's a side effect, but I was suicidal, and I would take these antidepressants or follow the doctor's prescription to take them, and then I would feel more suicidal.
Really?
And so that was super scary.
Sure.
Super, super scary. And then at the same time, I was taking these antipsychotics for sleep.
Yeah.
And it ended up that I had a suicide attempt. I took 80 Seroquels.
Wow.
For the end of my life. And
Wow.
that's when I was on an antidepressant. So I'm not saying that medication's bad. Like,
Right.
if it works, it works.
Sure.
It just didn't work in my case.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and I know that I'm not alone in that.
No.
That sometimes...
How did you find getting off? Because there's a lot of I didn't research before I went on any kind of anti-anxiety medication and antidepressant. I was on one called Effexor.
Yeah, that's...
And when I tried to get off that, I was like getting like shakes, and I feel like every time I moved my eyes, it was like a camera flashing. It was like
Yeah.
It was fucking it was tough to get off. So being on the medications that I've been on, like research before you go on. Because let's face it, if you're on a medication, that's fine, but you're gonna have potentially depend on that for your whole life, unless you make the kind of changes that we're trying to do here and to help you guys get involved in. Because it's just like a Band-Aid, right? You can take a pill every day, and it might help you get through the day, but unless you make the changes from inside, as soon as you go off that medication, you're essentially the same.
Yeah.
So you might want to research what's going to happen to you after the medication if you do try to get off of it, because that could be a tough situation for you to go
I think
through.
it'll create more anxiety trying to get off it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I think that people like it was said in this week's
Audio.
audio tape that sometimes people going on the anxiety medication for the first time, that gives them anxiety.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a scary thing
Because no one wants to take medication. They get anxiety over taking the pills.
And then that pill may help you.
Sure.
With your anxiety, but you have anxiety going into it, and let's get real, anti-anxieties or antidepressants, they take like 21 days at least to start working.
Yeah, you have to be patient.
You have to be patient, right?
Yeah.
It's about faith and patience, I think.
And in that time, I know from my experience, I definitely I self-medicated because I didn't want to wait for the anti-anxiety or antidepressant. So I went straight to fucking boozing, which you're not supposed to do on the medication anyway.
That's a depressant.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you throw in the lines of blow, that probably doesn't help matters, right?
Probably not.
Yeah, but, yeah. So, what about you, Scott? Have you ever tried any medication?
Yeah, I was on Wellbutrin one time, and I found it helped. Like, I was at a point in my life, like, I'd just been forced back to my parents' house after my arrest. I lost my contract. Like my whole life had changed, right? And struggling with my identity there. And so, like, I found I needed it. I could tell, like, by some of the symptoms here, like the sadness, like I was crying all the time.
Yeah.
I had no, like, sex drive at all. And, like, I was dating a girl that was, this beautiful girl. And,
so you should have had a sex drive, is kind of what you're saying.
Should have had a sex drive.
Right, okay.
For sure.
All right.
Fatigue, like sleep problems, concentration problems, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. But it helped me. Like,
it
was only on for a period of 3 months, but it got me out of that like crappy stage.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people kind of get into a bit of a funk, and sometimes that medication can help boost you out. Yeah. But maybe just like we said, research what it's going to take to get out of there. And in the meantime, you can always be doing the cognitive behavioral therapy, because it can be more effective, longer lasting, and more empowering than medication can be. And even than therapy at times, because it's stuff that you're doing on your own, right? So I mean, when it comes to the realm of coaching, you're really supposed to be asking the questions that bring out the answers from within the person, because we all deeply seatedly know what the right answer is and how we're supposed to heal. It's just a matter of bringing that out within yourself. I
found, like, nutrition-wise, like...
That's a good point, too.
Like some, like vitamin D, like upping your vitamin D quite a bit, like really helps with like seasonal affective disorder.
Yep. And what about omega fatty acids? Because apparently if you take more than the recommended dose, it's supposed to make an impact as well.
Yep, those two.
Okay. So I guess the thing that she really said that made me feel good, because it got scary for a bit, and I think we really want everyone to know we're going to be talking about some things that you might not want to hear. And it might give you feelings of anxiety. I know I had a bit of anxiety today when I was writing this down and kind of going through it. It's triggering a little bit, because you have to now look inside yourself, and you're kind of just, it's hard to face. You're facing a fear. So it might bring up anxiety, but if you're someone that wants to run away from what we're talking about, that's probably a sign you should be listening, because it's the anxiety that's probably doing that.
Yeah. So
maybe just give yourself a chance. Give us a chance to kind of see if some of our stories can help people out there, and especially, well, not especially anyone. This is for everyone, but I think 3 men talking about these things, trying to break down the stigma, is a good thing.
Yeah.
So the one thing that Lucinda said that made me feel really great was that the world is still an amazing place, especially when you feel strong and confident on the inside. And when you feel like you're in control of your life and your emotions. Mm-hmm. And that was so that's a good thing to kind of hear if you're struggling right now. And then they said the statistic that about 85% of the people with anxiety had coexisting depression. So that's why it's nice to talk about anxiety and depression at the same time.
That was a big number. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you didn't realize they were so kind of intertwined?
And then the 15-20% of people go through some degree of depression in their lifetime.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So everybody's dealt with it.
Yeah. If they haven't dealt with it yet, I mean, everybody will experience anxiety. It's part of life.
Right.
Yeah.
But depression, if you haven't experienced it yet, there might be a traumatic event where you do experience it. So it's a good thing to have the tools so that you're ready. You're prepared, right? It's never a bad thing to be taking care of yourself.
Yeah. I think that's, I got a big part out of this week's audio too, is I'm not sure who the guy was, but he was saying that we should be putting this in...
He's the doctor with a background in psychology, but a family physician.
Oh, okay.
Doctor.
Yeah, they're talking about putting it in schools.
Putting it in schools, and I think if I would have had that in my curriculum, at least when I was growing up, at least I would have known that I had tools to deal with this stuff. Because we learn about sexual health. Yeah. Right?
Barely though.
You learn how to put a condom on.
Yeah, sure.
You learn how to put a condom on a banana.
Yeah.
And you learn about STDs, and that's about it.
And how not to get a woman pregnant.
But we don't teach kids what to do when they're depressed or what to do when they're anxious. And the highest rate of people that have anxiety and depression are teenagers.
Sure.
In school,
yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. So, absolutely.
Why don't we teach that? Why we're in 2017 and why isn't that in the curriculum yet?
Yeah, I think it's time for a change, and I think it's slowly coming. It's transitioning.
Yeah.
But I went to Tony Robbins a month ago, and he said that based on his opinion was that the way that we learn by sitting down is a passive learning environment. It's kind of set back in the times when you were in a factory and you were supposed to be on a line doing the same thing over and over. So the information's coming at you, but you're just sitting there. You're not actively using it for anything.
Yeah.
So, you need to start doing these breathing exercises in schools. You need to start teaching kids what the symptoms are. And that's a great segue to go into the symptoms. So some of the symptoms of anxiety, if those of you don't know what anxiety is, if you're feeling anything of a feeling of uneasiness, shakiness, rapid heart rate with heart palpitations, muscle tension, which is often in the back of the neck and shoulders, dizziness can be part of it.